Welcome back, everyone. My name is Patrick. You're watching the Oilers Rundown. Well, things are looking a little precarious here in Oil Country. The Edmonton Oilers trailing the Florida Panthers 2-0 after the first two games of the Stanley Cup Finals. But I'm staying positive. I'm staying optimistic. The Edmonton Oilers are coming home for games 3 and 4, and that is where I think the series is going to swing in Edmonton's favor. Connor McDavid was quoted saying last night, "It's supposed to be difficult. I'm excited to see our group come together and show what we're made of." The Oilers have had doubters all playoffs long. They've managed to overcome. I think the Edmonton Oilers LA series was really the only one where the Oilers pretty much were in control the whole time. Stuart Skinner had some early struggles, but the Oilers dispatched the Kings in 5 games. I think they figured them out. The Vancouver Canucks proved to be a massive challenge for the Oilers. They never led in that series, but they found a way to come back, win it in 7 games. The Dallas Stars series is where I think the Oilers really made their mark. Nobody was picking them to take that series, and they took down the Stars in 6 games. Game 6, obviously, like we talked about, was probably a little lopsided. The Oilers only getting 10 shots, and Connor McDavid mentioned after the Oilers' Game 1 loss that was probably the hockey gods getting back at them for a game they probably didn't deserve to win. I think this series should be 1-1 heading back to Edmonton. I think the Oilers should have won Game 1 against Florida. Sergei Bobrovsky just stood on his head. They were definitely the better team, but the Florida Panthers were obviously clearly the better team in Game 2. Game 2 just brought out, I think, the worst in both teams. Seeing the infractions, Sam Carrick getting a fine today. He was fined $2,213.54. Ooh. But, I mean, that's what the NHL can do. So, Sam Carrick fine is the only thing that comes out of all that nastiness yesterday. The high hit from Leon Draisaitl, the knee-on-knee hits from Fogle, from Sam Bennett, Evan Bouchard getting strangled by Aaron Ekblad in a headlock. I mean, it was just an ugly, ugly game from both teams and very poorly officiated. The officials allowed this series basically to get out of control, so I'm hoping there's going to be a bit of a clampdown in Game 3. It just can't be allowed to continue the way it has been. I think the Panthers have been the worst team in that regard, but, I mean, the Oilers have done their share of things so far in this series as well, so I just hope the officiating is much, much better in Game 3 when the series switches to Edmonton. Going back to the message I started out the video with, I believe this team is not done yet. I believe they will win Games 3 and 4, turn this series 2-2, headed back to Florida. A few people were asking me today at work, what are my predictions for this series? I mean, coming in, I picked the Oilers to win in 6 games. Winning 4 straight games is going to be a really tall order, but the Oilers are in a position now where they have to win 4 out of 5 to take this series. So why not win 4 in a row? I mean, yeah, I know it looks really unrealistic at this point, but I'm going to stay a positive force. I'm going to stay a believer in this team, and I'm going to say they win games 3 and 4, go back to Florida, get one in Florida, win it on home ice in Game 6 at Rogers Place. That's the dream. Does it happen? That's up to the Oilers to figure it all out. Their sports psychologist, George Mumford, he's done wonders with the team to this point, keeping them in the moment, taking it one game at a time here. There's been lots of articles out there. Frank Saravalli, I think the Oilers did a segment on him as well. He's just been an amazing addition to this team. He has a long history helping athletes across many different sports. He was an amazing ad by Oilers CEO Jeff Jackson, and he's going to be key here if the Oilers can turn this series around. Obviously, the Oilers have to be led by their big guns, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Zach Hyman. The Oilers have 1 goal so far in the Stanley Cup Finals. That's just simply not good enough. I've seen some people blaming Stuart Skinner, but if the Oilers have 1 goal through 2 games in the Stanley Cup Finals, they're going to be 0-2 no matter what. So Stuart Skinner is not the problem so far for the Edmonton Oilers. I'm predicting, as I said in my Fanatic Rundown video last night, a 4-1 win for the Oilers in Game 3. I think they break through in the first period, get 2 huge goals. Florida probably gets one back in the second. Oilers go up 3-1, finish it off with an empty netter, and win 4-1. That's my prediction for Game 3. going forward here, we're going to clearly need to see some roster changes. Evander Kane is really fighting it. He can't sit properly on the bench. He's just not looking effective. He's missing practices. It might be time to just let Evander Kane maybe sit for a game or two. I mean, if he can't really be effective on the ice, I know you want Evander Kane in the lineup. He's a warrior. He wants to be there. It's the Stanley Cup Finals, but I don't know. It's a hard decision for head coach Chris Knobloch and the coaching staff to make. I wouldn't personally want to have to make it. Probably Evander Kane doesn't leave, but I've been saying all playoffs long, would love to see Sam Gagner put in. There's other black aces the Oilers can put in there to get some fresh faces, to get a fresh perspective, have a different plan of attack for Game 3. As I mentioned in last night's Fanatic Rundown, bringing in Philip Broberg did wonders for this team, so maybe some other black ace coming in can have that same kind of effect, give the Oilers a new look in the lineup, maybe allow Chris Knobloch to change some people up in different positions in the lineup to help create more offense for this team. Having the last change will obviously be a huge plus. Chris Knobloch can get the matches that he wants. And yeah, I mean, it's all up to them for Game 3, guys. I'm staying as positive as I can be. I hope most of Oil Country can be. I know it's hard to be in this position with the Oilers down 2-0, but they were down 2-0 to the Carolina Hurricanes back in 2006, and they found a way to make that a 7-game series. Didn't ultimately win it, but they've made things happen all playoffs long, all season long. I mean, the Oilers were pretty much in last place, or I think they were in last place in November. Now they're here in the Stanley Cup Finals playing the Florida Panthers for the Stanley Cup. So now is not the time to stop believing in this team if you are. Game 3, clearly a must-win. You don't want to go down 3-0. I mean, I'm saying the Oilers can probably win 4 straight now. They would definitely have to win 4 straight if they lose Game 3. Not to discredit the Florida Panthers at all. They're an amazing team. They've been the Oilers' biggest challenge yet. But at the end of the day, I just want to emphasize my belief in this team, and I think they're going to get it done with at least wins in Games 3 and 4 to get this series tied up. And we'll go from there and see what happens. Whatever changes the Oilers do decide to make, I'm sure we'll learn about them tomorrow in practice. So let's see what tomorrow brings. But for now, those are my thoughts, guys. Let me know your thoughts here going forward. What do you think the Oilers have to do to turn the tide in this series? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If this is your first visit to the channel and you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing for all the latest Oilers content. You've been watching the Oilers Fanatic. Thanks for being a fan.